From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your morning update.
Well, hopefully that AC is cranking along, and if it isn't, of course, you know who to call. Dennis's Heating and Air. They'll take care of you should your air conditioning go out, or if you need a new air conditioning system in general for your home or your business. You know, we take a look at Kruger's Quickcast here for today, getting you out the door this morning for actually it's not Wednesday, it's Thursday, but there you can see temperatures around 70 degrees for the valley this morning. So we're just noticing these temperatures just ticking upward a little bit here and there over the last few days, and we're going to see that again here this morning. Looks like mid-50s for places like the coast, Modoc County, and in the upper 50s to low 60s for Trinity County, Siskiyou County, and the eastern mountains. A little bit of fog for the coast, a little bit of haze for some of those higher elevations as well, and that haze due to the fires that do have in southern Oregon, and of course the Bear Fire is producing a little bit of smoke as well. Most of it does look to be in the eastern mountains and even parts of Siskiyou County as well. We'll take you into the noon hour today, and there you can see again just some of the haze. You see these colors of yellow, that's just haze, maybe a faint smell of smoke for some of those areas in yellow. Otherwise, conditions will most likely improve as we take you later on this afternoon and into this evening. Let's take a look at Futurecast, and you can see that marine layer is pushing closer and closer to the coast today, eventually more in the way of fog tonight and into tomorrow there. Otherwise, it's going to be sunny for everyone else, and not to mention hot. 106 for a high today in Redding, 104 in Chico, 92 degrees out in Aden. There you can see Etna, about 98 degrees, and those temperatures not as warm as initially thought for the coast, but still looking at temperatures in the low to mid 60s for those daytime highs. There still is a heat advisory for eastern Humboldt County, western Siskiyou County, and for the valley and the surrounding foothills. Now for all of these areas through Friday. Highs mainly in the valley, upwards of 107 degrees. Not quite as hot for western Siskiyou or eastern Humboldt, but still 105, 106. So yeah, it's going to be close. Here's a look at your 7-day outlook for the valley. It's dry all the way through next week, although this is not set in stone. I want to say that right now. We have a lot of discrepancies in those long-range forecast models, which we'll discuss a little bit further here in our deeper dive forecast. But just note that there is a chance for showers by next week, and not to mention much cooler going through next week as well. For the coast, also pretty much across the board for Northern California, a chance for showers Wednesday. But as I mentioned, not set in stone, and it looks like temperatures also dropping for everyone else as well. Taking a look at Siskiyou County, Modoc County, and into the eastern mountains. Now, some of the latest forecast models are backing off on even the chances for thunderstorms in Alturas and Susanville for Friday. But again, a closer look at that deeper dive forecast, much cooler, and that chance for showers by the middle of next week. All right, that is Kruger's Quickcast. Now let's take a look at that deeper dive forecast, and we'll start with the weather headlines. And the highs will continue to be above average for most of us for the rest of the week, and even at least into the first half of the weekend. Now, as I mentioned, there may be some Sierra thunderstorms on Friday into the southern Cascades, but now I'm seeing the forecast models kind of back off on that a little bit here. Not as hot next week. Possible showers and thunderstorms here again, especially by around the middle of next week. Quick look at the Park Fire, now up to 99% containment as of last night. We take a look at the Boise Fire, still at about 84% containment as of last night, so haven't seen much change in that containment. But that may change here later on this morning. Bottom line, they're getting some good handle on those fires, but we still have to be aware of the fire potential out there because that could create some problems. The winds, okay, so there's still a little breezy in some spots here for the afternoon, but no major wind events are in the forecast. As we go into Friday, we still have a little breezy, as you'll notice here going into Friday for parts of the valley coming in from the south, a little breezy off to the east as well. So maybe just slightly higher with those winds, but again, nothing unusual, not a major problem, not a major concern at this point. However, it is still very dry out there for today, and it will still be very dry again here for your Friday as well. It gets a little bit higher maybe off to the east as maybe we see that chance for thunderstorms in the eastern mountains, but now again, as I mentioned, those chances are beginning to slowly diminish. There's that very high fire danger for the valley, not to mention central Siskiyou County, and in that moderate to high category off to the east for today. We take you into your Friday. The wind's still a factor, so we still got the very high category for the valley, not to mention central Siskiyou County, and we're seeing, looks like again with that slight potential for thunderstorms for some of those areas in the eastern mountains and eastern Modoc County. We are looking at the potential not only for some gusty winds, but maybe some dry lightning in that area as well. Again, a closer look at that a little bit later. We talk about that heat. There is that heat advisory for western Siskiyou, eastern Humboldt, the valley, the surrounding foothills. This is all through Friday. After that, temperatures should start to drop. Really, we're starting to see the temperatures drop as early as tomorrow, but still very hot. That bubble of heat right on top of us, that shifts to the east here as we go into the weekend. We've got this weak trough of low pressure right here. This right here is what's helping to push that heat down to our south and east. Still hot, I think, for your Saturday, but this is going to be the beginning phases of that cooling trend as we go into next week. Now, as that kind of levels out and moves on out, the heat continues to dive down to the south and east because we've got this up here coming in from the Gulf of Alaska. A nice deep trough of low pressure, at least for this time of the year, that's got some cooler air associated with it. That will be shifting eastward and southeastward. Now, the long-range forecast models are differing greatly on exactly where this cooler air is going to be, where this area of low pressure will be. The European forecast model takes this, actually keeps it off to the west and doesn't really move it over us. That would mean temperatures not as cool. That would also mean probably no rain either. But again, it just depends on which forecast model you look at. This one, again, kind of pushes that off to the north and east, and then we dry things out again. So I'm going to split the difference between the two forecast models for now when we look at next week, but keep in mind there's still a lot to iron out when you look at that 7-day forecast. All right, so we take a look at that temperature outlook, and we are, at least the Climate Prediction Center is indicating that we have better chances of seeing near normal to slightly cooler than normal temperatures. And then the warmer air should be shifted off to our east. So we look at that 10-day trend, and I always just show you Reading as just kind of a general sense, right, for everybody. So we are seeing those temperatures dropping as we go into the weekend. They drop even more going into next week. But again, these temperatures are going to need to be adjusted as we get closer to next week. But I do expect, bottom line, cooler air will be in place next week. So those temperatures should drop down at least below normal, and then we'll get maybe a little bit closer to normal by the end of next week. So again, you can kind of see the big picture here. Here's the big ridge of high pressure that's in place. That's the broad ridge of high pressure, but we've got the main bubble of heat down to our south and east, and another area of high pressure just to the north of us, keeping temperatures fairly warm. Now, the Storm Prediction Center is still holding fairly strong with that potential for thunderstorms in the areas in green here. I'm going to have to disagree with this greatly, actually. I would say that the best chances for showers and thunderstorms now are mainly in eastern Modoc County, eastern Lassen, and eastern Plumas. Everywhere to the west of that at this point doesn't look like it's going to see much, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let's take a look at Futurecast. There you can see the fog is going to be moving in closer this evening and into tonight. There you can see that fog kind of hugging the coast by the time we get into Friday. But look at Friday. You didn't really see anything kind of popping up here. So the forecast models are backing off on that potential for showers and thunderstorms. That being said, I want to give this one more run as we go into today. So be sure to check in the evening forecast, because we'll look at the latest forecast model data to see if we indeed will see any showers or thunderstorms here in the eastern mountains. But for now, I'm still sticking with that potential for places like Susanville, El Turris. To the west of that, most likely no thunderstorms on Friday. Then we go into Saturday, just some leftover clouds, but I don't anticipate any rain. You'll also notice we're seeing that fog hugging the coast again, so we'll call it mostly cloudy there. Here's the longer range forecast, and again, this is just one of the several forecast models that we look at. Tuesday, I'm going to keep it dry. Wednesday, looks like we could see a chance for some showers pushing through for everybody, and we can't rule out an isolated thunderstorm as well. By the way, this includes everyone in Northern California. So the valley, the mountains, the inland areas, the coast, all seeing that chance. But again, keep in mind, the European forecast model has this over here, and it's not going to move it through us. And then we go into Thursday. Again, this particular forecast model, the GFS, the American forecast model, keeps the chance for showers in there for Thursday. Again, I'm having a hard time with this because we're seeing some big differences between the long-range forecast models, not only with the chances for rain, but even a little bit in those temperatures too. It's cooler next week, but based on some forecast models, not as cool as others. So we'll see. Again, it's one of those stay tuned type of forecasts. But, you know, the Climate Prediction Center has us in that wetter than normal category, so it's getting a little bullish on that potential for showers next week. But again, it's one of those wait and see type of situations. Now, you look at the wave heights, the immediate coast looking pretty good. You don't have to head out too far. We do have those higher wave heights. We go into your Friday, we're just not going to see much change in the overall wave height. So, with that being said, no small craft advisories, just the fog to contend with out there. There you can see the waves from the northwest at 3 feet at 7 seconds and from the west at 4 feet at about 16 seconds. All right, so here's your Trinity County neighborhood forecast. Yeah, another hot day out there. No big surprises. We've been talking about this the last few days. Temperatures most likely over 100 degrees in many cases, but to the south, places like Ruth about 99 and Mad River about 90. There, of course, is that chance for showers by next Wednesday, but again, to be determined as to whether or not that'll actually materialize. There you can see, of course, the mostly cloudy skies. That fog is returning, which is going to keep our temperatures down a bit. Not as warm as we initially thought, even going into Thursday and Friday, but we'll call mainly mid-60s for the coast. We take you into the inland areas, and of course we're looking at temperatures still fairly hot today and tomorrow, but those temperatures really dropping by the time we get into next week. Here's your Siskiyou County neighborhood forecast. Yeah, still pretty hot. Places around the 96 corridor there, about 104 out towards Happy Camp. Wairika, you're sitting at about 100 degrees today. Dunsmuir 99, in Mount Shasta City about 96. There, of course, is that chance for showers by next Wednesday. Your Modoc County neighborhood forecast, you can see temperatures mainly in the mid-90s. One of the cooler spots will be in Cedarville with a high of about 89. I'm sticking to that potential for showers and thunderstorms on Friday, but at this point, I wouldn't cancel your outdoor plans just yet. We're going to need to keep a close eye on this. Be sure to check in this evening at 6 o'clock. We'll take a look at the latest forecast model data, and that will be kind of that determining factor as to whether or not I pull that potential out or not. So it's, again, stay tuned for Friday. Stay tuned again even for Wednesday as well. And again, I'm sticking to it for Susanville as well. So as I mentioned, say Susanville, eastward, maybe a chance for showers, thunderstorms tomorrow. Not today, but tomorrow. Still hot today, though. Temperatures are dropping, and then maybe that chance for showers by next Wednesday. Your Valley neighborhood forecast to the south. It is a hot one again, 104 for Corning. Now, the forecast models have been backing off a little bit on the extent of the heat, or just how hot it's going to get, that is, for today and tomorrow. I'm still keeping it in the range that I've been forecasting over the last few days. So just bear in mind that when you look at my forecast and then maybe a different app, which I don't know why you have other apps. Just keep it with the Weather NorCal app and you'll get the most accurate forecast that I have a say in what you see here on your app. But I digress. All right, but that's the bottom line. Other forecasts, basically weather models are saying that it may be a little bit cooler than this. But bottom line, 106, maybe even 107 degrees today in some spots here. We do drop down to the upper 90s, that is, by Saturday, Sunday, and then that chance for showers and much cooler, it looks like, here for next week. Your 7-day outlook for Redding. We do have, of course, the hot temperatures through the rest of the week. Mid-90s by Sunday, Monday. Temperatures continue to drop as we go through next week. As I mentioned, you'll look at this 7-day forecast. There's a story behind it. There's a lot of discrepancy and a lot of uncertainty, especially as we go into next week. So you're going to need to stay tuned right here to Weather NorCal for all of the latest weather data. That is your morning update. We'll see you back here at noon, and then, of course, later on this evening at 6 p.m.
We're the locals down the street. The neighbor you come to for advice. A nest egg for the golden years. A loan or a new account for that growing business. What started in Chico 50 years ago has taken us all around California, providing big bank lending power and high-tech service, while keeping our relationships personal. We're still the locals down the street, no matter where your street might be. Tri-Counties Bank, California's local bank.